Hello, everyone. It's me, your boy, Henry. I'm a doctor in regional Australia. I am giving half of everything I earn this year to charity because I think it's the right thing to do. I've had some fantastic opportunities in my life. I've been really lucky. I was born in the right place at the right time to the right people. And I think I have a bit of an obligation to give back, to give something back to a world that has given me a lot, and that's a bit cliche and a little bit cringe, but I think it's true, so what are you going to do? I'm sitting here right now on the land of the Yorta Yorta people, and this always was and always will be Aboriginal land. And so this is the third time I've done this. And it's the third paycheck I've received from my first year working as a doctor. And this is the website that I've made, and I'd encourage you all to go and check it out. This is the pyramid, representing the pyramid scheme. This is my pyramid scheme, my patented, not actually patented, donation strategy. The idea behind the strategy is I give money to great charities, and I give lots of money to really great charities. And that's what I've been doing. So let's have a think about this month and who I've been giving to. And I suppose trying to make the world a better place with money is very hard, and trying to figure out how to do it is really hard. And so what I'm doing is I'm relying on kind of 4 different pieces of information. And the first is expert advice, the opinions of global development experts in global development organisations or in academia, and what they think the world needs to be a better place. But I'm also using grassroots knowledge, ground level knowledge, the knowledge of people who are actually experiencing the problems in the world and who know better than anyone else their own personal situations and what it's like to experience those issues, and so they have unique insights into what the solutions to those problems are. And then the third type of evidence that I'm trying to use is kind of trials-based evidence, so applying the scientific method to try and work out what global development projects actually work and actually make the world a better place. And this is something that has been going on for a number of years, and people have been winning Nobel Prizes in economics for this, actually. This idea that you basically just try out a global development project and see what works. You apply rigorous scientific method to try and actually track what the outcomes are. And then according to that, you get data on, which programs are actually effective. And then the fourth type of evidence I'm using is community crowdsourced knowledge, which comes from friends and family and whoever is watching this or whoever is reading about this. And I want to hear from you and everyone about what they think I'm doing right and wrong, what charities they think are valuable, what problems the world faces and what the solutions are. And I've been receiving some really fantastic feedback and suggestions, and I really encourage everyone to keep them coming because I've been really enjoying it, and it's also informing how I'm doing this. So at the base of the pyramid this month is the Schistosomiasis Control Initiative Foundation, is what it's actually called. And I'm giving them $1,220. And this organisation is one of the ones recommended by GiveWell. And if you don't know what GiveWell is, it's a charity evaluator, an organisation that uses research. They research all sorts of charities around the world, and they try and come up with a list of the ones that they really think are doing sort of exceptional work. And GiveWell relies heavily on that kind of third type of evidence, the trials-based evidence. So they're very into looking at randomised controlled trials around the world and trying to assess what works based on that. And one type of intervention that they actually recommend 4 different organisations that all do this. And they all kind of overlap, these organisations, and some of them even seem to fund each other doing this sort of work in different places. But they all operate on trying to reduce parasitic worm infections in developing countries. And parasitic worm infections are not really something they teach us about in Australian medical school because you just don't see them in Australia. These are infections like schistosomiasis and soil-transmitted helminthiasis, which are a range of different infections, including I think ascariasis and hookworms disease. So quite a range of different infections, but the number of people that are infected with worms in the world is massive. It's like 24% or something of the world, like a quarter of the planet has a parasitic worm infection, which is amazing. And I would encourage you to go and read about this because it's, it's something that even as someone who's been through medical school, I didn't really realise the scale of this kind of issue. And the thing to mention is that often these diseases are asymptomatic and they don't cause people that much issue a lot of the time. But sometimes they do, and in particular in children, when they have parasitic worm infections and they're really bad, it can actually cause them to be malnourished, it can cause developmental delays, and that can have really long-lasting effects on how they operate in life. They can get learning disabilities, they can, get severe intellectual impairment. So, if you could prevent or treat these conditions before they become bad, well, that would have massive impacts on people. And treating and preventing these conditions is super easy. We have medications that you take a single pill and it eradicates the worms from the body. Praziquantel and albendazole are the treatments that you get, and they are silver bullets. They are the ideal medication, really. They have very few side effects. They target the worms without poisoning the human, which is ideal. And they're fantastic, and they're cheap. These medications cost, cents a pill. So the one I focused on was the Schistosomiasis Control Initiative Foundation, because frankly I didn't have time to read 4 different reports for all of these organisations. But what the Schistosomiasis Control Initiative Foundation does is they work with governments in the countries where parasitic worm infections are endemic, and they provide them with funding for one. So they channel the funding that comes into the Schistosomiasis Control Initiative, the SCI Foundation, and they give it to the governments specifically for those programs, for the deworming programs. And then, thanks Moses, I'm getting there. And then what they do is they also provide not only funding, but they also do advocacy. So they kind of whisper in the ear of these governments, encouraging them to get involved with, fighting parasitic worm infections. They also, sort of help with forming planning committees and provide strategic advice on how best to do this kind of thing. So I suppose on some level, the idea of this organisation from a very wealthy country coming into an organisation that is not as wealthy, coming into a country that's, not as wealthy, it's quite poor, and kind of telling them what to do. There's an element of paternalism in there, and I don't think we should ignore that. And that is a problem. In donating to the Schistosomiasis Control Initiative, I suppose what I'm saying is I think that the potential impact of, treating parasitic worm infections for $1 per case is what it actually costs. They're about between 40 cents and $1 a case. I think I'm saying that maybe that's worth the aspects of paternalism that are going on here. And that's a really complex issue, and maybe I'm wrong now. I'm very keen for feedback from people on what they think about that. It seems voluntary, it seems non-coercive. But I'd love to know what people think. It seems like a fantastic program, which is why I've given them so much money. There's actually not a heap of evidence. There's heaps of evidence to say that treating people's worms reduces the amount of worms in the community, and that's almost a given. But the evidence that it actually improves people's quality of life is not as strong, and that might be because the actual cases where people do experience serious side effects of parasitic worm infections are fairly rare, or it may be that the benefits of treating parasitic worm infections actually take a long time to see. There might be lifelong benefits, and if you're preventing people from having developmental delay, those are lifelong benefits. It's a tricky one, but I think Schistosomiasis Control Initiative Foundation and the different deworming programs are very enticing as really exciting global development programs that have the potential to make enormous amounts of difference. So I'm giving them $1,220. Now, I want to talk about Australians for Uganda. So Australians for Uganda is an organisation that I'm giving $400 to this fortnight. And Australians for Uganda is an organisation that was founded by actually a friend of mine, Angus Hayes. So shout out to Angus. I know him from medical school from the University of Queensland. He and a number of other medical students spent time in a region of central Uganda called Lira. They did placements at the hospital there, and during their time there, they built communities. They built connections with the networks, with the communities there. In particular, they built connections with a local pastor called Moses Ogwal, and Moses is a local organizer in Lira, and he runs sort of projects that try and help his local community. And one project in particular that I remember reading about and learning about as I was going through medical school was his bicycle distribution program. So in and around Lira, there are a lot of people who have HIV, and they need treatment for their HIV. And Moses noticed that what was stopping a lot of people from getting treatment for HIV was that they were unable to actually find transport to get to the HIV clinic. So this super simple issue, this super simple roadblock that was just stopping people from getting their disease treated. And so what Moses did is he, used funding, I believe, through the connections that he built with Australians to buy bikes from local sort of businesses in and around Lira, and then distribute them to the people in the community that needed them, so then they were able to make it to the HIV clinics. And I think it's just that sort of program is it's really nice because Moses lives in this community and he understands what the issues are. And you can imagine that maybe someone sitting on a panel in the UN might not quite have this kind of micro detail about what the actual issues are in a community. It's micro stuff. It's kind of hard to pinpoint. But Moses is able to do that because he's at the grassroots, he's at the ground level. And I love that. So I've sent $400 to Australians for Uganda, and via Australians for Uganda, all of that money gets sent straight to Moses Ogwal. And I'm leaving it up to Moses to just spend that money how he wants. He's been speaking about a number of different programs that he is thinking of implementing. I think he's best positioned to decide exactly what is best, but I'm really keen to see what he does. And Angus and Moses are both being really open and transparent about how they're going to spend their money, and they're going to keep everyone updated, keep me updated, and make posts about what they're going to do with it. And I think that's really great. And I'm really keen to see what happens with that. I mean, it's not a heap of money. It's $400. It's 2 weeks of my rent. I hope it can make a bigger impact in and around Lira. But shout out to Angus and to Moses. I think both of you, what you're doing is really cool. And then the third organisation I'm supporting this fortnight is Sisters Inside. This is an organisation that a number of people have recommended to me, actually. It's an Australian organisation that provides support for women in prisons in Australia. It was founded by an ex-inmate herself, Debbie Kilroy. She spent 6 years in prison for drug trafficking back in the 90s. And I suppose the whole idea of Sisters Inside is that prison doesn't seem to work very well as a rehabilitation system. So, yeah. there is a bit of audio latency, and I'm not sure how to fix that, but we'll figure something out. Sorry about that. But prison doesn't seem to work very well as a rehabilitation program, and I suppose what Sisters Inside tries to do is tries to break the kind of vicious cycle of intergenerational disadvantage that causes people to do crime and go to prison. I suppose one thing you learn in medicine and probably in a bunch of other fields, but certainly medicine, is that almost everyone that does bad things has a reason for doing those things, and often it's because they've had a really tough time in the past. And trying to break that cycle of disadvantage is really, really hard, but also a really, really valuable thing to do, and that's what Sisters Inside is all about. So they provide services for women in prison. They provide counselling, violence counselling, also sexual assault counselling, because something like 90%, I think is the number, close to 90% of women in prison have experienced sexual violence, which is just an astounding number, really. They also provide services for like maintaining relationships between mothers and their children while they're in prison, and that's kind of directly identifying that intergenerational kind of disadvantage, trying to kind of break that up. I mean, imagine how traumatising it is to be taken away, or not able to see your mother while they're in prison. You can imagine that having devastating ongoing effects, and their programs are trying to tackle that. They also provide programs for young people, either who are in youth justice themselves, or who have parents or relatives who have gone through the justice system. So the kind of work that Sisters Inside does, and they mainly do this through kind of providing counselling services in prisons, and also like workers who try to help transition the women who are coming out of prison into the community. So they employ a lot of different counsellors and workers to do this sort of work. And it's really hard trying to kind of like slow down this whirlpool, this vicious cycle of disadvantage. That's often intergenerational, often goes way back, often has all sorts of factors, historic as well. Attempted genocides come into it, all sorts of factors, and trying to, I don't think anyone believes that you can undo it with a couple of sessions of counselling, but it's a slow process, and I think that the work that Sisters Inside is doing is really, really cool. So that's why I've given them $100 this fortnight. That's it. I would like to emphasise again that I'm really, really keen to hear back from anyone. I want anyone's opinion. What do you think I'm doing right? What do you think I'm doing wrong? I'm really keen to hear from anyone, so if you have any ideas at all, send me a message, comment, DM me, yell at me in the street, whatever. But until next time, peace out.